Hello everyone, welcome to Raising Vibrations. This is Simon. Today I'm going to be giving you some information and sharing with you some of my thoughts and reflections regarding the full moon in Gemini. And I took a look at this chart today while writing the article for it, and was completely and utterly overwhelmed with the amount of intensity that was actually occurring from a frequency point of view, from an alignment point of view, from a cosmic evolution point of view. There was quite a lot going on, and when I started tuning into the message, information just started flooding in completely. And one of the things that really struck me was the most recent earthquake that actually took place in Peru. And what was really significant about the charts, which I've described in the article, which will be connected to this video, by the way, was interesting because Pluto is squaring Uranus and has been for quite some time. But then Pluto was also squaring Mars and Venus in Libra, and they were in opposition to Uranus at this stage as well. So you've got these two interesting dynamics of Aries Libra, and then you have Uranus oppose Mars, Uranus oppose Venus, and then you have Pluto squaring all of that. And it's and then they're in cardinal signs as well. So it's such a clear example of an inner shift, an initial change, and a shocking experience. Remember, cardinal energy's got a lot to do with an instinctual change, and instinctual change always occurs without any predetermined action, right? So, and with this Aries energy and Pluto energy being there, and then Mars and Venus really triggering those archetypes off, you have the totality of splitting of matter, which is Pluto, so the Earth literally breaking, and then you have Uranus fracturing it. Now, if any of you know what an earthquake looks like when it occurs, there's going to be a fracturing of the Earth. There's a splitting and a fracturing of it. And that changes the way that those people are living in that world, instantaneously. So shock, Aquarius, and then of course Mars in that polarity point, literally having to flee for your life in that sense. And what's really interesting about that is that so much of our Western media tells us to focus on the stuff regarding what's going on with Putin and ISIS and the shooting of the Turkey, or shooting down the Turkey shooting down the Russian airline carrier. So what's interesting about the scenario is that there's so much tension. That's what I was wanting to bring to the thing through these examples, the amount of tension and how the Earth is releasing it in a different way. But really, it's our collective karma that's actually reaching a point of total, necessity for release in a huge way. And what I found really interesting about this is that the Virgo-Pisces axis is really kicking in at the moment. And of course, this will create this crisis and psychological paralysis and psychic trauma and so on and so forth. So why I'm actually creating this video for you is to show you how those external events connected to the celestial spheres and how they've operated has actually brought for this awakening within ourselves regarding balance and totality, okay? Which you can see is being exemplified through this picture over here. And this is amazing to be able to really tap into, in my opinion. I was channeling a download yesterday that I've put into a description for everybody, PowerPoint presentation, which I'll create at some point, regarding what that means. And it's kind of an extended version of what I'm going to share with you today. So when accessing that and then noticing all the sort of images and awarenesses that were coming through to me within the last week, I realized how important this balance and totality is, this necessity for wholeness, this necessity for what does unity consciousness actually mean, over and beyond the sort of, okay, look, you've got a computer, I've got a computer, we've got Facebook, so now we're connected even though we live on the other side of the world. I'm sort of wanting to take it beyond that human definition and bring it into the nature of unity consciousness as it is within the universal meaning. Again, as I'm saying this, I'm really divorcing myself of the actual purpose of it, which is why I'd prefer to use symbolism to actually convey the messages to you in a more impression orientated way. But to me, this is unity consciousness. You can see here that there's equilibrium occurring with that symbolism over there, and this sphere in which everything is existing within is balanced, it's unified. And if you notice that that's actually going around like that, as you can see. But it's kind of a beautiful picture, really, because it really entraps your mind and your eyes to see how this is actually operating. But it's a toroidal field, and it's polarity, and it's balance. Okay, so I'm going to move over to this picture over here, and really just illustrate to you what I see within the current energy patterns and how we can access the healing process. Because you remember that with the Virgo Pisces axis occurring at this stage, I'm wanting to bring in the energy. I want to incarnate the energy. I don't want to incarnate the definitions. I don't want to be like, okay, Virgo Pisces means this. And I want to actually be a living representation of what that energy is like, so that we can actually visually see the archetypes within our consciousness and also in our energetic fields. So what I've done here is I've shown you, and I don't know if I've shown anybody else this before. I know maybe in Metamorphosis or the Chiron workshops, but this is what you call a samskara. Okay, the Vedics call this samskara. We can call this energetic implants from fourth dimensional entities. You can call it wounding, whatever you want to say. Basically, there's 3 layers to this situation. There's unresolved trauma and collective psychic distortion that has been assimilated into our energetic fields because we were literally spiritually awake. So we all carry this within our energetic fields, okay? As an example, most of us have not actually resolved any of the psychic trauma that's occurred through World War I and II. So you can imagine the type of implants that we've got in our astral body. Okay. So we've got this kind of trauma, okay? Maybe to drive it on a little bit more closer, every single one of us at some point has experienced abandonment, okay? Loss, like the girlfriend did this to you, and now you needed to react a certain way by getting them back because you were hurt, yada, yada, yada. So what we have here is this deep psychological trauma or hole or duality that exists within ourselves, in our psyche. And then what we have is, for instance, the Paris attacks or 9/11 experiences, where there's a energetic spike that triggers off this deep unresolved psychic trauma that we carry with ourselves, okay? And there's a layer out on top of this psychic trauma that we as human beings have created to not be able to deal with this pain of this separation, this distortion here. And again, as I said before, many reasons why that's the case is because we haven't actually had the appropriate knowledge visibly to be able to access and heal this process. So unless you're actually searching for knowledge in a very deep way, or blessed to be able to incarnate into a family that's already working with us or aware of this, you're going to be probably like the rest of us, that has really just carried unresolved emotional crap. So we get these types of threats, these energy spikes, and they stimulate all the distortions that are existing within us. That's the major reason as to why 2013 to 2014 was such a deeply heavy issue for many souls on the planet, because Jupiter is moving through Cancer, which is where obviously all of this stuff is existing, as well as Saturn in Scorpio. So we get these threats from external environments and energetic spikes or people telling us off, etc. And we react instead of responding. And the reason why we react to them feeling betrayed, abandoned, lost, and so on and so forth is because this stuff is really what's actually being hurt, but we don't know it exists. So today, with Uranus opposing Mars, I highly recommend everybody sort of really pay attention to your energetic field and recognize that there's going to be a lot of these situations that are going to occur where you're going to have these spikes, situations hit you, and these unresolved things are going to come to the surface. Like Pluto is squaring Mars. So, let's just hold the fort down and really, 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 really try to remain balanced and whole during this next at least 2-week period, okay? And probably the most intense right now. Because again, as I said, this energetic shift is like really tapping into this part of our psyche and saying all of this needs to come out and be cleared. Come on, we're ascending here, we're bringing more light into our consciousness. And if you've got density, then you're going to find yourself really off balance. You're either going to be in the lower spheres of your stuff, or you're going to be completely and utterly in the Neptunian sphere, which is total like you've spaced out basically. So I've written here the fight or flight response, okay, reaction relative to threat, also called the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response in post-traumatic stress disorder, which is what this is. Okay, Uranus and Uranus will always correlate to that. So naturally, Mars in opposition to Uranus is going to go, come on, guys, like we're going to be really challenged with these things. So what's going to happen here is that hyperarousal, or the acute stress response, is a physiological reaction that occurs in response to a perceived harmful attack or threat to survival. Again, the survival of this thing here. And it was first described by Walter Bradford Cannon. You know, people like Patricia Walsh work with this when she goes into her, what's the word that I'm looking for when you access past life healing, the healing of the past life. I can't actually think of the word right now. Anyway, so what's happening over here is that this is where a lot of the sort of psychic trauma exists, and we fight or flight. So we have a threat come to us, and then this outside experience either tells us to fight the situation, which is to confront it and to be angry, etc., or to flight, which is to then basically space out from the trauma because it's so overwhelming. And the reason why this is existing is because we've consistently been showed through television and everything else in the false light arena that, you know, there's nothing you can do about it, which is complete and utter nonsense, because you can start by connecting to your own core and accessing the sovereignty within yourself, as saying, I refuse or not going to allow any of this to affect me, thereby stating that the parasitac in itself is something that is occurring because of external situations outside my control. And what I do is I choose to respond in a very balanced and holistic way. I see both sides of the situation and then respond, if you feel that you need to, in a way that is from that space. And this is where the balanced masculine and feminine archetype kicks in. This is the necessity for wholeness and balance. Okay? The left and the right brain, the intuitive capacity to feel the feminine archetype of nurture and protect, but the right or the left brain, which then is kicking in and saying, okay, there's logical reasons as to what I can or cannot do in this situation. How can I offer my sense of support in a nurturing way, but also be able to respond in a very logical way, in the sense that I don't have £1 million in my bank account, so obviously I can't donate it to these things here, but I can go into my Facebook page and talk to people about certain ways in which they might have felt about it, and try to create a sense of wholeness and balance within my own energetic field. As an example, okay, one example. So I don't want anybody commenting saying that this is how you got to do it, etc. I'm just sharing with you the state of being that needs to be accessed in order for your own energetic field to be balanced. You've got to work on your own energetic field first before we try and engage in other external spheres that are outside of ourselves. Okay, so the balance of the left and right brain is essential here, because this is what's causing polarity. You're either too in the left brain stuff and it's very analytical and there's absence of God, or in the right brain where there's all the beautiful spheres, but everything is just so abstract. So you've got to be practicing balance and wholeness. You have to be practicing the centeredness that exists within yourself here, especially between the two spheres, the balanced left and right, the polarity, okay? And when you do that, you actually access this space over here, which is the deep healing. So you've got your three spaces. You've got your Neptunian space here. You've got the heart chakra. And then you've got the access point of divine will. So lower, higher, and the centeredness of yourself. So what happens here is that you get stuck in the outside spheres where everything is telling you that everything is negative, so that you need to respond positively, and you just consistently keep bouncing between left and right, 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 and you're not actually balanced at all, because you're always being polarized. This is huge. So the sense of balance is then remaining centered within yourself and allowing all inspiration to come from the inner sphere of yourself, come through the heart chakra, and then acting through that centeredness, which is no duality. The heart does not have duality. Okay, it's whole. So through the heart, you anchor it into your actions. When you anchor it into your actions, the light in which then gets which gets reflected through your actions becomes inspiration for the journey that you are doing. So this is what they mean when they say you actually do create your reality in that way. If you're anchoring your reality from fear or fight or flight syndrome at the bottom here, you will naturally create information around you that will be showing you through your visual perception over here that that's what's occurring, and you'll feel no heart-centeredness. Whereas if you do actually connect with heart-centeredness through balance and wholeness, your whole entire sphere will represent that, and you won't be bouncing between two polarities. Okay? All right. Okay, guys, so this is a very short video. It was just intended to create a sense of awareness around how to actually understand this full moon process and how to navigate your way through this energy field, balance and wholeness, not responding but just really being aware of your own inner vibration and recognizing how situations and circumstances can cause you to feel the necessity for dealing with anything in your energetic field that will throw you off, okay? All right, don't forget the membership program. What I do is I create all these videos and they're all specifically on the new and full moons. It's like your spiritual workout. It's about 45-minute long videos. Check that out over there. The description, or should I say information is in the description. Okay.